Okay, I love talking to my phone now because it just is such a familiar way for me to just sort of know put whatever is in my life out there somewhere. And to begin with, I didn't ever upload it to YouTube, and it wouldn't even occur to me to do that, but I do like uploading it to YouTube now because it seems that possibly occasionally of the people who view, and I'm rather cynical about who those people are, occasionally some title of what I write, gets into some sort of algorithm that comes into people's feeds. And sometimes I get some quite kind comments and misguided but very well intended advice. And so what happened tonight, I don't have much chance of sort of putting into any kind of chronological sort of story that would be worth anyone watching. But it does make it worthwhile to me, and I am gonna upload it, and whether or not I make it public or not, I guess that's something I'll decide. And I might make it public tonight, and then in the morning when I'm sober decide that was a bad idea and close it off again. But it is and the first time someone ever said to me, "Is a hair past a freckle?" I could not stop laughing. It was like the funniest thing I ever heard. But yeah, I don't know because my phone doesn't work at the moment. So, and I think that if I even stop this video for a second, it's going to stop recording. But I think it's something like 11 o'clock. I don't even think it's particularly late, but I'll just have a quick look. So look at my other phone. Okay. So my other phone says it's 11:38. I guess that's probably about what I was expecting. So, how do we present the data? Do we present it on a timeline? Do we present it in a series of themes? Or do we just ramble like a madman? And I think really at this stage it's really just about what makes me feel better because, I'm in a kind of rough spot. So I will just assume, because I never know who it is that I'm talking to when I put my videos, when I write my videos, when I create my videos, I never know who my audience is. Like, I think that's probably like the cardinal sin of like uploading videos is not knowing who the fuck you're talking to. I never know. I suppose it's sort of like myself. I guess I should just sort of make it like a Dear Diary thing or something. I don't really know. But anyway, my corn trip and I would just like to say that we've got back from Mitchell's. And Mitchell is... We either know who Mitchell is or we don't know who Mitchell is, and either way it doesn't really matter. But I'm like looking fairly cute in a kind of preppy way, but I had like the coolest shoes. Oh, they're over there. And because what happened was Mitchell said, "Why don't we go to the pub in Maryvale?" And I'm like, okay, well, what I had to do is take a couple of Buscapine because my IBS is flaring up like nobody's business. And I'm suffering quite badly from physical stress in many ways, and part of me thinks that if these videos are ever seen, they might be after I'm dead, and someone can sort of piece it all together about how much damage can be done to a person before their body gives up. And I think a lot of suicide or exists in the general category of suicide is just simply life is not really a choice anymore. It's just something that's been taken out of your hands. And I said to my only friend Lauren yesterday, I think, I've decided that I'm not going to die because I really, really, really want to survive to advocate for people who are in these absolutely appalling human rights quagmires in New Zealand. It's beautiful fucking paradise that every fucking leftist moron in Canada thinks we live in. I actually just really don't want to die, and I've sort of found a bit more of a sort of a fighting or prevailing side of myself, where I think that there's got to be a way that I can keep going in my life and spend the rest of my life, and it's not going to be the better half of my life. It probably is in an intellectual sense, but the thing is that I've got no. The first part of your life, the first half of your life, if you're thinking about a kind of like a median lifespan or life expectancy, they're kind of two different things. But for my ethnicity, age group, birth year, that kind of thing, I think it's probably about 83 years old. And with the kidney transplant, which is ultimately going to fail at some point, even though mine's excellent, it's taking it all into account, and so I probably have about 10 years less than that kind of expectancy. Like, it's all very complicated, all the different data. And with all the absolutely nightmarish things that have been happening to me socially and politically, I do try to just make my calculations and my predictions as dispassionately as I can. It's kind of hard to tell, but I just sort of wonder if I would just die at about 60 anyway in about 15 years, because I've got so much bodily stress and a whole lot of other factors that are statistically relevant, such as fairly clear, I don't want to say it's a likelihood, but it's like a very plausible possibility of sort of technical homelessness, which doesn't mean street homelessness exactly, but it does mean a kind of a homelessness that reduces one's quality of life along several factors that directly and indirectly lead to a shorter lifespan. One of those, the direct risk is just the sheer stress and kind of illness, and the other is, and again, this is sort of continuum between the two, but the other one is just simply, when you don't have a proper home, you don't get to take care of yourself in the way that you would be able to if you had a stable home. And I'm not crying because it is an appropriate time to cry. I'm just crying because it's not a part of my telling of my situation. It just sort of pops up because things are difficult. But I technically have a home, and I've been renting it since the 23rd of July 2022, and it's now, I'm not really quite sure of the date because I forgot, but it's, well, I can't tell, but it's May sometime. And I have spent virtually all of that time living in a nice apartment that I can afford, being abused by the people who either do or don't, I don't know, represent my landlord. And the thing that I've been trying to get across to any entity that might be able to understand, but I don't think any of them do, that just living under that pressure and that fear of homelessness for that long is in itself becoming very close to being intolerable. And by intolerable, well, if you can tolerate something, you can carry on with it, difficult as it is. But if you can't tolerate it, it means that you make sure it stops. And when you don't have any control over what anybody else does, it means that you have to make a decision of your own. And there's just a limit to how much torture one person can take before they make the very difficult decision to remove themselves from the equation altogether. And the reason that's very difficult for a lot of people, including me, is because I don't want to do that. And you don't want to do it until there's no option left. But you also don't want to wait exactly till there's no option left, because then you're controlled in a different way, and you're forced to make a decision that you would rather have a bit more dignity and control and self-love about. Because I've been in that position before, and I made that decision when I had that really abusive police welfare check, like whatever it was in December. So I made a decision to leave my body behind and go somewhere else, wherever that may be. But I made that decision with not enough information to do it properly. And I really, there's the fly. One of the most unhelpful things I think someone can say is fight to the bitter end. Don't go out accepting what they're doing to you. Make sure that you go out fighting. But I don't want to do that, because what that means is that you die in quite brutal circumstances. And I suppose the analogy that they're trying to bring to mind is something like Braveheart, or something where you go out, like in a battle, fighting for your freedom, with a sword or whatever, but that's not what's available to me in my situation. What I'm doing to fight is public policy, which, well, it isn't really even public policy. It's just it's public policy that's been handed to some government department who has hired a whole bunch of people who don't know what the fuck they're doing, who has trickled down a whole bunch of, kind of internal policies and codes of conduct and, a whole bunch of fucking stuff that really bears quite little relation to the legislation that was written. And I can't really say much about the more recent amendments to legislation, but you know, having worked in government, and I'm, you know, really sick of hearing myself say this again because I've said this a million times, but having worked in government and departments that, because a lot of legislation, a lot of acts, and a lot of sections of acts that apply to new departments that are set up, and I've worked in 3 now, is that they're not, like, the policy that's written, it's not intended to be specifically applicable to some new circumstances cropped up. It's there to be broadly and, you know, quite cleverly, quite intelligently there to cover any circumstances that may pop up under that policy umbrella, you know, whatever may apply. And with the Tenancy Tribunal, I would have thought that it's all reasonably well established why we have these rules, and yet the Tenancy Tribunals are they're feral, absolutely feral, and I'm just in such a strange situation, and I don't really want to talk about it because I'm writing about it so much. But I said to Lauren either yesterday or the day before when we spoke on the phone, I said to her at some point, it wasn't the top of the conversation, but it came up and I piped up when it was appropriate to do so. I said, I think I've decided that I'm not going to die. And Lauren, you know, was celebratory, and but I think what I'm really lacking is anybody who's really able or willing to devote themselves to my decision to remain alive. I do really enjoy my life so much, but it's mostly about my home. And it's not that it's just this home, it's I make a home in anywhere I live, but I'm really lacking the ability to live somewhere that I fear is going to be taken from me at any moment. And that's been 7 or 8 months of this 9 or 10 month tenancy, and it's really difficult. I don't think anybody really understands that a home is not accommodation, it's something that's yours, and it really is torture to. I've just been played with like a mouse for 7 or 8 months by the Tenancy Tribunal under the direction of the people who claim to be my property managers. And it's well into torture territory. Like seriously torture territory, because well, I actually don't care to fucking, you know, explain myself. I actually think people just can either take what I say knowing that I fucking know what I'm talking about, or not. Like, I don't have that much vested interest in people, you know, believing only what I can prove after being quite brutally challenged, because it's not what a very traumatized, victimized person needs. And I'm just gonna say, I think most people are fucking stupid. Like, I really do. And you know, who the fuck are they to fucking tell me what my fucking life is? I'm an intelligent person. I've got pretty good cognitive abilities. Those include intellectual humility. Pretty careful before I state something as a fact. I'm pretty tired of people coming in knowing nothing about my situation and challenging my beliefs about what's happening to me when it is happening to me. I've asked for help from pretty much everyone you could possibly think of who could help. And what they do is they refer me around in circles to places that I've already tried, or, you know, service hubs that can kind of connect you with services, and they end up just being the same services that I've already tried. So I've got to the point where I say to people, if you can't help me, can we leave it here? Because I don't want your recommendation or advice. It happened to me today or yesterday with another one. I can't remember what they were called, but it was a disability support network, and it's just so disappointing. It makes me so sad. And you know, my decision to end my life or to keep carrying on is this constant battle between myself. It's like inside you are two wolves. You know, grey Gary or dark grey Gary. Like, dying is such a comprehensive solution. But I really don't want to die. But I just keep bing-bonging between the two, because both of them are impossible. So I go from one impossible solution, ping-pong, to the other. That's also impossible, ping-pong, to the other. It's like it's really got a torture, because I want to stay alive, because I want to have a life, and continue to enjoy the life that I have. As little, you know, it's quite a small life, but to me it's really nice. But I just don't think that anybody's gonna let me have those little things that I want. Because having a chance is reasonably important to living even a modest life in New Zealand, and I don't think I can have another one. But I don't know. And I went out with Mitchell tonight, my neighbour, and because we're kind of back, hanging out again, and he took me out to a bar in Maryvale, and then we got in a bit of it's not a proper argument, but a bit of an argument, and the whole reason I started this video was to talk about that. But I don't think I can, and I don't think anyone's gonna fucking listen to this video anyway, but I said to Mitchell this evening, and I was lying in his bed before I was just like, fuck this, I'm coming home. I was just like, I can't, like, I don't rely on anyone else's promises. Like, you're either going to give me something that I can rely on or on my own. And stating that you give your word, that, it's like, well, I'm sorry, but your word really has a very low exchange rate, considering the number of times you've given me your word, and it didn't happen. I just really don't know why. I think everyone reads these tragic stories or hears these tragic stories, and it's just like this mega cliche where people say, why me? Why is this happening to me? And I've never understood that, and I still don't. It's just like, well, why not you? What makes you so special? This tragedy wouldn't happen to you randomly. I don't ask why me. I just think, well, I'm clearly just in the wrong fucking place at the wrong time, And that's not an excuse that I'm making for my own behaviour. But my own behaviour doesn't remotely warrant the kind of, completely outlawed persecution that I'm been suffering for, 9 months. So I can easily explain why me when I've been a dick. I would never ask why am I being persecuted by 3 levels of fucking psychopaths. Because I know that those kind of people exist, and I know that happens, and I know that our justice system is complicit or doesn't give a shit. And I wonder if I can find another, way to have a life for my second half of my life, which is going to be more difficult than the first half because, I've got a bunch of kind of medical problems, and and I suppose the one that's the most appealing plan to me at the moment is a bit of a middle ground. And that's just dying of bowel cancer, which I don't believe will be a particularly nice way to go. But it's a very plausible way to go because of my health profile and the fact that I have been too stressed to go to my colonoscopies. And I have like a high propensity for bowel cancer. And I sometimes think that it just might be quite a nice, easy way. Yeah, it's a bit rough to have. It's a bit rough when you get to the point where you think dying of bowel cancer is going to be a nice, easy way to go. But that's it's all relative, right? So I'm thinking if I have to go from my home and just be somewhere, then, I can just let the cancer develop and metastasize and colonize my body. I don't think anyone will listen this far. I don't think anyone will listen anyway. But if there's anything you can do in your own life to not let people die of torture, you should do it. I think humans are awful. I don't want anything to do with people anymore. I know for a fact that my life is utterly untouched by love. And I think before you ever consider saving someone's life, ask yourself if you're willing to do anything to make that person's life tolerable.